The number of South Korean visitors to Japan surpassed 810,000 in February, accounting for nearly 30% of all foreign tourists, making them the largest group of visitors to the country.
지난달 일본을 방문한 한국인 수가 81만 명 이상으로 전체 방일 외국인 수의 30% 육박하는 최대 규모를 기록했습니다. So out of all the foreigners that visited Japan, South Korea took up the biggest portion of the pie.
Yeah, sure did. So there was nearly 2.8 million foreigners that visited Japan last year, which just that number alone, that's a 7% increase from February of 2019.
Okay.
So they're above pre-pandemic levels now. And then of the roughly 2.8 that visited Japan last year, 818,000 were from Korea, so nearly 30%. That's the next highest were visitors from Taiwan, which is just over 500,000, so quite a bit less. And then China came in third with just over about 460,000.
I've not been to Taiwan, but my friends tell me, oh, okay, you've been, have you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that it feels a little bit like Japan in some areas.
It doesn't feel like mainland China, that's for sure.
Right. So I guess they have something in common. People from Taiwan also like to go to Japan. I don't know.
I can understand,
Maybe.
It's 10 people who aren't communists tend not to love communist countries, and you can feel it when you go to mainland. I feel it when I go to mainland China, Vietnam. I can feel I'm in a communist country, but but when you go to, when I went to Hong Kong, that was 2018. So I don't know what the vibe is in Hong Kong now, but I didn't feel that when I was in Hong Kong, and I was really surprised. I went to Taiwan because I'm not a huge fan of mainland China. So I wanted to experience all the Chinese territories, and Taiwan had its own vibe. It had a Southeast Asian vibe to me.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
네, 물론 지금 이제 레이 선생님은 선생님 개인 의견을 알려주셨습니다. 그러니까 일본을 방문한 이제 많은 외국인 중에서 한국인들이 가장 이제 많은 퍼센티지를 차지했다. 30% 정도를 차지했는데요. Not only was February the month that a lot of Koreans visited Japan, but same for January too. Koreans took up the biggest percentage of foreign tourists to Japan.
And they're saying that a lot of that is due to the weak yen.
Yeah.
So Korean tourists are getting a bit of a bump, and also increase in flights to and from Japan and Korea. And I've noticed that flights are much cheaper.
Yeah.
So it's
You and I have been to Japan,
several times.
Yeah, in this period, I think, maybe this year.
I went in May last year.
Oh, okay.
May last year.
Well, I fall in this
one.
category.
Oh, you're one of these 800,000, right?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, and I'm hoping I'm going to go back this year for sure.
Okay, so the first expression is to account for something.
So that is, it forms a portion of the total. You account for, and it's usually you talk about it in percentage, or you'll just talk about the majority or the minority of something.
Yeah.
So, think about businesses or restaurants near a university or near a high school. You could say students account for the majority of their customers.
A accounts for B. 이렇게 얘기하면은요, A가 B만큼의 비율이나 부분을 차지한다. 이런 뜻이 있어요. 그래서 여기서는 뭐라고 했냐면은 South Korean visitors accounted for about 30% of foreign tourists to Japan. 한국 관광객들이 일본을 방문한 외국인 중에 30% 정도를 차지했다. And so Korea was the largest group of visitors to Japan, right?
Right. So if you're going to categorize visitors based on nationality, then Korea is the largest or highest proportion.
Yeah.
So you can look at a lot. We're going to talk about hockey later in the second hour, which I'm really looking forward to.
I'm going to have a lot of questions to ask you.
I have terms that I'm going to quiz you on to see if you can guess hockey lingo.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, I have a whole bunch of them actually.
Okay.
Anyways, so for example, in the NHL, National Hockey League, so this is professional hockey that's in Canada and the U.S. 7 teams in Canada, the rest in the U.S. The largest highest proportion of players or largest group of players are Canadians.
Right. And Canada is known
Right.
for
So I think
hockey.
it's it's somewhere in the 30, 40, 50% even of I'll have to double check that. But yeah, the largest group of players are
Right.
Canadians.
아, 그렇군요. NHL 허키 선수들 같은 경우 북미권에서 이제 허키 팀들이 여럿이 있는데요. 캐나다 팀도 있고 미국 팀도 있고 그렇지만 캐나다 팀, 캐나다 선수들이 가장 큰 부분을 차지하고 있다. 이런 얘기를 지금 해주셨습니다. 그래서 가장 큰 규모의 가장 큰 부분을 차지한다라는 의미로 they are the largest group. 이렇게 얘기할 수도
Over
있겠죠.
40%.
40% 이상이 Canadian
Yeah.
players군요.
And they don't just play on the Canadian team. So like
Right,
it doesn't
American
matter.
teams too.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. So
그럴 수
some Canadian teams have lots of Russian players. Some American teams have a lot of Swedish players. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter, right? Like it's
Yeah.
just whatever.
This may be a bit of a stereotype, but when I think of Canada, I think of maple syrup, politeness,
Okay.
hockey.
Yep.
Yeah, and you know.
Those are all good ones.
Yeah,
Those are all good.
I think
I'll
those are
take those ones.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's the first couple of things that come to mind.
Yeah, we're happy with that. Coffee, drinking coffee,
Oh, I didn't know that one actually.
Tim Hortons.
Oh yeah, there you go. And A, that one.
Yeah, right. Saying A.
and sorry as well.
Yes, that's a big one too.
자, 그래요. The largest group of visitors 설명을 하다 보니까 또 캐나다 얘기 이렇게 재미있게 하게 됐네요. 다시 한번 헤드라인 읽어보겠습니다. The number of South Korean visitors to Japan surpassed 810,000 in February, accounting for nearly 30% of all foreign tourists, making them the largest group of visitors to the country.